This video is a result of training that was part of Food and Livelihood Security in Peter and Telemali, a development project funded by USAID from 2005 to 2010. This training was conducted by Ibrahima Tano Diallo and Amadou Petit Diallo of OICI Guinea and filmed by Conrad Berube, a farmer-to-farmer volunteer in Lemero, Guinea, in November 2007.
The objective of this video is to provide instructions for producing compost at low cost using locally available plant materials and minerals, with specific relevance to small-scale farming in West Africa. Composting helps to integrate crop production with livestock rearing to minimize the need for off-farm inputs while maintaining or increasing yields. Manure contains many nutrients that will help plants grow, but often contains weed seeds that can sprout in crop fields if the manure is applied directly to the farmland. Composting helps solve this problem because heat that is generated in the pile during decomposition will kill weed seeds. Any kind of manure can be used to improve the nutrient level of compost, but chicken manure has the most nitrogen per pound, sheep or goat manure a little less, and cattle manure a little less still. The type of compost pile described here is made in the open air. The technique consists of superimposing layers of plant debris, decomposed food waste, and manure, followed by abundant watering. This method will produce usable compost in 30 to 45 days, if turned, and kept moist by watering. To begin, you'll need enough material to make a pile about 1.5 meters in height. To compost quickly, you must create a big pile all at once, rather than adding waste a little at a time. The pile can be as long and as wide as you want. Here, we'll make a pile about 2 meters wide by 10 meters long. It is best to locate the compost pile beside a source of water. In the case of a well, one must respect a minimum distance of 10 meters to avoid contaminating the water source. The compost pile should also be close to the plots where the compost will be used. Mark out the corners of the site with stakes or ropes, and if necessary, work the surface to be relatively flat and level. If possible, put down old tarps, sheets of plastic, or old mats to cover the area. If you are feeling energetic, or you have a lot of help, with a machete or wide blade hoe, chop this material into pieces about the length of your hand. By chopping up the stems, you accelerate the composting process. Spread a layer 20 to 30 centimeters in depth, composed of coarse materials such as old stalks of sorghum, millet, or corn, or dry brush. Put on a second layer 20 to 30 centimeters thick of less coarse materials such as wheat or sorghum chaff, rice hulls, straw, ground nut or peanut husks, food scraps, and other organic garbage, etc. Water thoroughly and pack. Farm soil in West Africa is often acidic. Adding a bucket or two of cookfire ash will not only assist in the breakdown of materials in the compost pile, but it will also act as a liming agent, decreasing acidity, which increases the availability of nutrients to plants when the compost is mixed into the soil. Add a third layer, 10 to 20 centimeters thick, of easily decomposable materials, such as cattle or sheep manure. After pouring the material, pack it firmly. If possible, on the layer of manure, spread a carpet of fresh green plant material, preferably from legumes, like acacia leaves or groundnut, cowpea, or soy plants pulled up after harvest. Legumes can pull nitrogen out of the air while growing that will become available to help crop plants grow as the legume leaves decompose. Douse this layer liberally with water. Repeat this same sequence until you have a pile 1.2 to 1.5 meters high. First, coarse stalks and sticks, then chaff and husks, manure, green legume leaves, and more water. Then pack. Loosely cover the pile with old mats, banana leaves, waste burlap sacks or such, or simply put on a layer of dry straw covered by soil to keep in the moisture and the heat that will develop in the pile. At the end of the third or fourth day, the inside of the compost pile should warm up. You can check the temperature by inserting a long metal rod or a stick in the middle of the pile. Leave it in for 5 minutes. When you remove the stick, it should be hot. If not, try adding a little more manure to the compost pile, or if the pile seems dry, add water. Everything in the pile should be as damp as a wrung-out sponge. If the pile is too wet or smells bad, it is not getting enough air in the center. Try remixing the pile, but do not pack it down this time. 6 days or so after making your pile, uncover it and mix the pile thoroughly using shovels or wide blade hoes or pitchforks. Check the temperature again after another 2 days. If the pile is hot, turn it again and continue turning every 2 days. Make sure that the pile remains about as moist as a wrung-out sponge. If you continue to turn the pile every 2 days or so, the compost will be ready to use in about 5 weeks. However, if you don't want to turn the compost pile so often, you just need to wait longer for your compost to mature. If you turn the pile just twice, once after 15 days and a second time a month after starting the pile, it will take about 5 to 6 months for the compost to be ready to use. You'll know your compost is ready when it is dark brown or black and crumbles in your hands. You will not be able to recognize the original materials that were in the pile. The pile will be much smaller than when you first put it together. When you see these signs, your compost is ready for use. When the compost is ready, you can mix it into the top 15 centimeters of the soil that covers your garden or farm, or cover the ground around your plants. You can also put a handful of compost into seed holes when sowing plants such as maize, wheat, or sorghum, or into holes into which you are going to transplant seedlings like peppers or tomatoes.